Daniel Marlon signed in January. The only player that was, apart from Garcia, that was bought in for a fee, big fee. How do we think he's feeling right now? I'm seeing a couple of comments of, like, how, is he fuming? He's only coming on for, say, 3 minutes against Brentford. Where are we at with Marlon? Because you could look at it and kind of feel sorry for him, I guess, because, he's come from Dortmund at Villa, not in the Champions League squad. He got ill, didn't he? So he missed the Cardiff game, which I felt like was a bit of a blow for him, because if he'd have played that, we'd have seen him. But the fact that we didn't, a couple of minutes against Brentford, can't play against Bruges in the Champions League. Where are we at with Marlon?
Yeah, I almost do feel a bit sorry for him. I felt a bit sorry for him when we found out who had been registered for the Champions League, and obviously it was a difficult decision to make because you've clearly brought Asensio and Rashford in on loan. We don't know if we're going to be able to keep them, and the quality, you kind of have to put them in the squad. But when he signed, we don't really know what went on behind the closed doors. Was he promised that he would be in that team because the club didn't know that they were going to be able to bring in Asensio and Rashford together? So, we don't really know what happened there. If he came on the assumption that he was going to play Champions League football, then it is a shame for him. I think the little bits, the drips and drabs of him that we've seen have been really positive. And like you say, Luke, the illness, the sickness, don't really know exactly what it was that fell.
He weren't headbutting someone either, was he? I don't know whether
training ground scrap.
I've not seen that one, but you never know.
Who knows? Honestly, well,
bomb squad.
He could have been having fights. It could have been training ground food poisoning. Who the hell knows? But I think it did. It probably came at the worst time because he'd had a couple of decent cameos, and then you would have imagined he would have probably started that Cardiff game, if not had a good amount of minutes. So that's sort of thrown him out of the balance again, because in the meantime, you get Asensio come in, and he scored 4. Rashford's obviously assisted 3. So then it becomes quite hard then. He's kind of fighting an uphill battle. But everything we've seen of him has been really positive, and you just wonder whether Unai's kind of said to him, look, in the cup, like the FA Cup, you'll play a big part. Like, are there eyes on that pressing game to give him a start or some good minutes? Because, again, you're not going to drop Watkins to fit him in. It's just not going to happen. So it is a bit of a funny one, but he is, like you say, the one that we've brought in, and he's going to be at Villa next season, you would imagine, unless we loan him out for some crazy reason. But meanwhile, you've got 2 very high-profile signings that have come in on loan. All eyes are on them for multiple reasons, probably different reasons, each of them, and they're going to get the minutes. So it's a bit of a conundrum, and it's not a bad problem for us to have ultimately. Like we've got some amazing players up top now, but it is a little bit of probably a headache for the manager and his staff trying to get Marlon in. And I don't know the player enough. I don't get enough of a sense of him yet to know whether he's kind of happy. He knows what his role is. I think we'll probably be able to tell that the further on we get in this season and how many more minutes he gets. But if he's not starting or playing a significant role in that Preston game, then I think you start to get an idea of maybe he isn't, going to be favoured this season.
I think Emery's very difficult to read, isn't he? Of what he actually likes and what he wants, and within that specific player as well. As a fan, we're all fans. We look at it and we go, he should be starting Marlon. He should be on the right. He could be on the right, cut in on the 10. Someone can drop and make up the midfield and that. But how Emery looks at it is obviously completely, and nobody knows what Emery actually thinks, because we're in a similar situation really with Maatsen. What does he actually really think of Maatsen? Because Maatsen's game time has been probably a lot less than what I thought. going into this season. So where are you at, Ryan? With sort of like Mark, like where do you think he is in Emery's grand scheme plan?
He's probably in the phase of adaptation. Like Yuri Tillemans was the classic example, wasn't it? How he come in, and I think Pau Torres would have been the same as well had it not been for Mings' injury. They get integrated into the squad, and I feel like Marlon, he's a bit of everything, and he could do a bit of 10. He played up top for us. He played on the wing. So is it finding that position and moulding him? Like, is Emery moulding him into...
Do you think it's trust?
I don't think it's a trust issue, because he's threw him in on some big games. Am I right? He played.
But do you not think?
He played the Liverpool
do you think?
game,
Sorry to cut in. Like, do you not think sometimes when you're looking at Emery and players, it's like I can look at and say I thought Nedeljkovic was good then. I thought Nedeljkovic played well, but in the big picture with Emery, he don't feel it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can think Marlon played well. Was it against Wolves? Like, he played well up the top against Wolves, but was Emery like fully like smashed it? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you have to like earn Emery's trust in the system to play?
Yes, yeah, of course you do. That's been proven that you do. But I don't think it's solely by what we see.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see a 15-minute cameo and go, you know what, like what I saw there, give us a bit more, Emery. Or he starts a game and he plays 60 minutes and he's played well, nearly scored, nearly assisted. You know, oh yeah, man, I fancy a bit more of that. But for me, Emery, I think he sees the bigger picture, isn't it? It's what he's doing every day, how he's applying himself in training, what attributes he's got, where can these attributes be excelled, and it's like, is he sticking to the game plan? Is he following the system right? Is his positioning right? Is his ball collection right? Is he picking up the right areas? Like, we're watching a game and we're seeing what Marlon's doing, but is it what Emery has asked him to do? And like Nedeljkovic, again, that's a prime example. What we've seen of him, we liked. Come on, energy, pace, commitment. Like that game he come on West Ham in the FA Cup, like, absolutely brilliant when he come on. But now Garcia's in, who we've plucked from the second division of Spanish football, thinking he's going to be an understudy, and like, he's totally eclipsed Nedeljkovic's minutes, like five times the amount, because there's something in Garcia that Emery likes that fits the mould of our tactical setup more so than the minutes we saw Nedeljkovic perform.
Yeah. Spot on, to be fair. Do you want to...
Yeah, I can't really add much to that, to be fair, Ryan. I think you've nailed it. It's a difficult one. I do feel a bit sorry for the lad. I do think that the two signings, Asensio and Rashford, I'm not convinced they thought they could get both of them over the line. And I think the Marlon deal, was a deal they wanted to do. They liked him. They liked the fact he can play multiple positions. He is like a pocket knife Unai Emery player, and you can just use him however you need to use him. I think it would have been a bit of a kick in the gut for him to be left out of the Champions League, squad. But I do think Emery would have put his arm around him and said, look, I'm doing it for this reason. And as a professional footballer, as his job, he would have accepted it. And I think we saw even Maatsen the other night when we beat Brentford, he was on the pitch giving it loads. And, the camaraderie in that group seems very, very good. And as a player coming in new in January, halfway through the season, it can't be easy, coming from a different country as well, to assimilate to not only playing in a different league, but to living in a different country. I think that's often forgotten by many fans that, imagine suddenly you're working in Birmingham or Sutton or wherever, and all of a sudden you're going to go and work in Holland the next week, and you not only got to get on with all your new work colleagues, but you've got to find somewhere to live. You've got to, you're in a foreign country with not many people that you know. So it's...
And smash your job.
And you've got to be expected to be very good at your job immediately. So, it doesn't always work like that. But I think I've seen enough in him to say that he's going to be a real good addition His work rate is his key thing for me. I think when we are maybe struggling at the end of games currently, he's ideal to come on and just work his socks off. And I do expect him to play against Preston. I think he'll play the full game. And I think as the season progresses, I think we're going to see more and more of him. And I think he'll end up being a really good addition to the squad in the long run.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to ask you, all three of you then, yes or no, and a description of why. Rashford, Asensio, do we sign them both?
Is this it? Like, am I realistic? Do I think we will be able to? Or
Yeah.
at the minute, I think we can, which I don't know. You might all agree with me. We will see, won't we? Pause for an ad break. No, I think I genuinely feel like it's a reasonable assumption. I think let's start with Rashford, right? Everyone talks about him. I've had a few interviews recently where the first thing people want to ask you about is Rashford. So I think you have to bring Manchester United into the equation. Do they want him back? I think the answer's no. I think they're a shambles. They don't need him. And I think if the mood around Villa stays how it is and his performances stay how they are, he's going to feel a lot happier here than he knows he would be at United. Let's be honest, we know his heart is at United, it always will be, and it's probably a difficult situation, but I think he knows for his career, the age he's at, that he needs to be somewhere where he's playing and where he's respected and where he's wanted. For that reason, I do think if he continues to play how he is, that we can take him on. I think you then have to bring in practically the wage conversation, because Villa are not the most stable financial club when it comes to financial regulation. So I think wages have to come into that. Who are we going to have to offload to counteract that? But from a pure, could we get them? Would he want to stay? I genuinely think he would want to stay, especially if we stay in Europe. If you take Europe out the conversation, again, that's another factor. I think that immediately you lose appeal. And then when it comes to Asensio, I am even more confident with him. I think not only has he taken to this team better than any other loan signing I've seen in a long time, I think he, again, the age, the stage in his career, working for a manager like Emery, I think that will mean a lot to him. I think there's no reason why he wouldn't want to stay. He's not getting the minutes at PSG, so there's no reason for him to go back there, because I don't think they're immediately going to be like, do you know what, let's have him back, let's give him a load of minutes. So I'm even more confident, to be fair, that we could keep Asensio, which feels, again, maybe I'm being really optimistic, but get Europe, sort out our finances so that we can balance the books with wages, and I genuinely don't see why we can't keep them.
Yeah, I'm fully with you. I think the most difficult part is getting them here in the first place. And I kind of feel like once they get here, and once they know the environment with, you can't downplay Vidagani here. You can't downplay Monchi, what their core, just the way they are. Like, you see the tunnel, there's always Monchi in the tunnel, high-fiving, like, that feel-good factor between the whole vibe of them lot is very, very important. And I think, like you say, as long as we're still in Europe, as long as we've done well, if we've won a trophy, they are going to want to. They're going to want to come and stay anyway. I think because they've achieved something, and you saw it, didn't you? Like, when we'd signed players in the Championship and we got promoted, like that feeling that you've got with those players, that Snodgrass, Hourihan, Tammy Abraham, Mings, like Mings was always going to come back and stay and sign for Villa, wasn't he? Because of what we'd done together. So I think you can't sort of like downplay that. I think, Disasi as well, I think he's in the same bracket really. I spoke when we was signing him, and I spoke that I saw a player there, and that was someone that I really thought could develop and do well at Villa. So I'm glad I was right on that one. But yeah, you two, what are you sort of, where are you at?
I agree with Hannah. See?
Next.
No, I do agree. I think you make a good point. It's the point I was going to make. Thanks, Luke. Was that getting them here in the first place was the big thing. You know, players like that. As I said earlier, about talking about Marlon, I think they thought there was an opportunity to bring them in, but a player being available and a player signing are two different things. And to get those deals over the line was an incredible job by Villa. I think the Duran sale has opened up, hopefully, the financial means to get these deals over the line. I think the Asensio one, I believe we've got an option to extend the loan for 12 months. I think that's what I read. I hope that's true, because that would allow us to extend his loan for another 12 months. We could then make the Disasi and Rashford deals permanent, hopefully, because there's a deal there to be done. Rashford wouldn't have agreed, any representatives, I don't believe, the fee and everything to be in place to make the deal permanent if he wouldn't stay. I really don't think that. And I don't know Marco Asensio. I'm going to totally ignore everything that has been written about him pre-Villa. I think he comes across as a bit of a humble guy. You know, all the stuff he did at United with the food stuff. He's a community-led. And I think if he was going to go abroad, he would have done it in January. I think at 27, given all the crap he received in the press, I think that was his perfect opportunity to disappear off to Saudi, America, wherever, get a big paycheck and just finish his career. He didn't want that. He wanted to stay in the Premier League, and I think that spoke volumes for him. And I think we saw what his brother going to Bruges away, was it, in the crowd, with all the fans and everything. So hopefully he's found a new home. You know, to come to another club and to fall in love with it is very difficult when your heart, like Hannah said, is so much with Manchester United, which he obviously was, and is, you know. But he's ultimately a professional footballer, and he wants to be filled love, and he wants to play somewhere where he can achieve, and he wants to get back in the England squad. He can do all them three things at Villa, and I'm convinced we're going to get Europe next season, whatever that competition looks like. So that'll be another European campaign for him. But I also want to see the Disasi deal done as well, because I think that would add massive, massive strength to our back line. A player that we've been desperate to see that can play right back, centre half. He's got all the attributes, you know, to be a real monster for Villa over the next 2, 3, 4 years. And I would go as far as to say, if you said to me, this summer, the only deals we were going to do would make them 3 deals permanent, I would shake your hand now and have the summer off on the transfer hub.
No, what's going on with transfer hubs then?
Mate, honestly,
I'm done and dusted.
You know, you're
screwed.
buggered, but honestly, if you said to me, we're going to go into next season with the squad we've got now and we're going to go full bore for it, I would, because don't forget as well, there'd be no upheaval in the summer, there'd be no comings, goings, 3 in, 3 out. I think that squad now would be set to really have another go.
I've got a question for you then. Come the end of the season, do you think we have to sell a player again?
Possibly. I don't know. I really don't know, because I couldn't even begin.
You think we do? To what value?
This could get juicy here, because I have a view.
I think the Duran deal.
The Duran, what was it? 70.
Yeah. Don't forget when you bring. Sorry, Alan. Don't forget when you bring a player in. It's
amortised.
Amortisation, isn't it? So it's over the length of his contract. So a Rashford 40 mil, was it 40 mil deal over 5 years? Is whatever that is, isn't it?
10 million.
So for that 70 mil incoming could do those 2 deals. And that's why I think that extra year loan for Asensio makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing would be the wages for me is still a massive worry for Villa.
Sorry, I was just going to I'll let Ryan speak momentarily, but just to kind of chip in on the do we make a sale or whatever. I think the wages are the biggest issue. We've got the worst wage revenue pretty much out of all of the big teams. So I think that's a major issue, and I can also see the sale of a player to get the wages off the books. I mean, even a player like Luca Dean.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think it would need to be one of them.
No, I think we could make potentially our money back or even a bit of profit on a player like Luca Dean with how well he's played, and his wages have been very high. I can see us making a sale. There is one player I think we would potentially sell for big money.
I think I know who it is.
Go on.
Watkins.
Yeah, I think we would consider selling Watkins in the summer for the right bid. I'm not saying I want to.
So I'm not saying I want to.
No, it's
understand what you're saying.
but
totally different.
I think I do think Watkins could go in the summer.
I do think he could go.
Go on then, Ryan. You have your pitch on this Watkins. Go on. Guys, we didn't expect to go to this phase of the show, but
Yeah.
Watkins, does he stay or does he go?
Potentially he goes.
Oh,
Potentially he goes. Potentially the likes of a Bailey goes or a Cash goes.
Yeah.
I still
Because
think.
there's squad players going.
Yeah, I still think. I know you just said you'd happily carry on this squad into next season. I do feel like there's still freshness to be had, and I still feel we are in the wheeling and dealing zone.
I think what I meant was nucleus. But there probably will be one or two in and out. But I don't think we'll see the turnover we've seen last summer and in January.
Yeah, because I feel like the original question, can we get Rashford and Asensio and keep them? I think Asensio, yes, we could exercise that loan deal and have him for another season. I think Rashford, for me, there's quite a lot of noise about our finances. Last season we was at 96% wages compared to revenue. Now we know that the revenue team have done an absolutely wonderful job and raised that, but we don't yet know the operating costs for the club, like the wages. Like Martinez had a massive new contract in the summer. We're hoping to tie down Boubacar Kamara. He's going to want to be at that level, and Rashford is reportedly on £325,000 a week, and part of me thinks that he's not wanted at United because of that reason. They can probably no longer afford him. Look at all the redundancies they're dishing out and the reshaping and remodelling financially of that club. You look at someone that's on 325 grand and you think, at the minute, as it stands, they're a bottom half club in the Premier League. And for us, that wage there, he'd have to reduce that.
There's a deal to be done, though.
There's a deal to be done, but that wage pretty much has to be halved, or, I don't know, speculating that, Martinez is on £180,000 a week. He's going to want to be the top earner, and it must be hard as players if you're all in and around that area. Then you've got one that's on double the money, and the balance ain't quite right, is it? So I feel like for us financially, the sticking point could be Rashford's wages. 45 million is nothing really, is it? Nothing really in nowadays. So to outlay 45 million cash for Rashford all day long, I'd give that all day long, but it's the finances, isn't it? And we don't know that yet. We don't know what's going to come out with the operating costs and how much we can actually afford. But it feels like there was a decision made in January where, okay, we're in this position, we need a boost. What we got, and we're gambling, and we've gone big in the hope to push us on and achieve silverware and European football again. And these are big players, and Diaz is a big player as well. And it's you are getting your money's worth for these players. These are a level up from your squad players, aren't they? These are on a level with your Tillemans, your Pau Torres, your Kamara. These are big players, and I watch Rashford, and he's incredible. His brain. We've got a lot of carry first players like Rodgers and Ramsey that pick it up and drive. But I feel like when Rashford does that, his intelligence in his mind, he's seeing the game, he knows where everyone is, he knows the 1-2s. And for me, Rashford is one goal away from going on a goal streak, like Ollie does. And for me, again, the business end of the season, we're just waiting for that moment. And I feel like Rashford's really going to click into the gears. Emery's managed him quite well, and he's got his assists, Rashford. Asensio's got his goals, but I still feel there's another gear.
Quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, man. and then them two will look like Anna did with the cutouts at the FA Cup and the Champions League.
If we lift that trophy there, that FA Cup, and
imagine.
what a feeling that must be.
Dancing on the ceiling.
Rashford might retire then, isn't it? He goes, well, I've won the FA Cup and Champions League with Villa. I can call it a day. I completed it, mate.
To be fair, well, he'll have won it back to back, won't he?
They won it last season, didn't
They
they?
won it last year,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah.
So, back to back for Rashford.
Yeah.
Happy days. Cool. Right, nice little discussion during the. Well, it's not an international break, is it? Is it?
Sort of is.
Sort of, yeah.
just call it
Well, we
break.
just don't play, so we've played enough.
They're
So,
off to Dubai it now. A bit of warm weather, training, nice little chill out.
Can we go out there with the pod?
well, no, it's unfortunately it doesn't allow that.
Spend it all on the water.
You need a revenue manager, don't you?
You turn up late anyway.
Missed the flight just then.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So
you're late,
thanks
buds.
everyone for watching this show, sort of like a bonus episode that we recorded at Patty Freaks. And if you are enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the likes, get involved in the comment section. And Justin, you'll have recorded your first interview
yeah.
as well. So
Yeah, hopefully tomorrow night.
if
At
you've
Patty Freaks
if
as
you've
well.
turned the mic on and turned the
Yeah,
camera on
and turned up.
yeah.
Got it in
If
time.
he's not, if he's not, guys, if you can't see his episode, something
If you
went
walk
wrong.
across the high street and Gary Thompson's knocking on the door and no one's here, you know that I've come late.
So yeah, if it is out, then I'll tag it in the description, etc. So you can go ahead and watch
mate,
Justin
late
do
once.
his stuff. Yeah, just don't be late for him either. Like, make sure you're on time.
I'll be here tomorrow. I'm at work, so I've no excuses.
Cool. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.